Starfox Adventures is one of the last games Rare made before they were bought by Microsoft. The game itself doesn't have a lot of beta things to show off. However, there are interesting things to look at. As probably many of you know, Starfox Adventures never started out as a game of the Nintendo franchise. But for those who don't know, we'll explain it briefly. Starfox Adventures was originally developed for the Nintendo 64 and was called Dinosaur Planet. It was an IP by Rare with the protagonist Crystal, the blue fox, and Saber, a saber-toothed tiger, who looked incredibly similar to Fox. The game was meant to be an open-world platformer. Looking at a lot of screenshots from Rare back then, one realizes that a lot of the game looks similar to the final product that turned out to be Starfox Adventures. It just looks worse, since it was designed for the N64. Crystal was fully playable, and Tricky was meant as the dinosaur companion that would have commands that he would listen to. And the game was featuring a time rip, which lets the player travel in time, just like in Ocarina of Time. So far, the widely known stuff. However, there's more, especially when it comes to the story. Starfox Adventures opens with Crystal looking for the truth of her parents' death. Apparently this was a backup solution Rare had to come up with, since there are files left on the Starfox Adventures disc, proving that the beginning was different. It seems like Dinosaur Planet started off with Crystal being sent by a wizard, whose daughter was taken hostage by General Scales, Princess Kite. Crystal was sent to investigate the situation, as Scales and the so-said wizard had agreed to lay their weapons down. Upon finding out, Crystal threatens that her mother would send an army if he wouldn't stop trying to occupy the entire planet for himself behind the wizard's back. These lines are fully voiced, probably meaning that the story was meant to be somewhat final, with Crystal's parents being alive.
Going a little further into the game, it seems like the Dinosaur Planet and Starfox Adventures were somewhat the same. The layout and the monster design were planned out, and even some of the NPCs looked the same like they do in the final version of the game. However, the story took some damage due to the transitioning into the Starfox universe. A few lines that ended up being scrapped are Peppy talking about the mission and the bonus they'd get for speed and extra effort when it came to completing their mission.
Fox, this is Peppy. You have entered the Ocean Force Point Temple. My senses indicate that the spellstone holders are hidden within the lower chambers. Peppy out. Good job, Fox. We'll get a big bonus at this rate. Don't forget, I'm here if you need me.
Peppy even suggests to go home without the bonus money at one point, so without killing General Scales and without saving Crystal.
He's right, Fox. We don't need the extra bonus. I can finally retire with what we've got.
This is probably Rare trying to justify the actions, as the Starfox team are mercenaries which do their missions for money. However, Fox wouldn't stop here because he was worried for Crystal. After being saved, they would team up to fight Scales together in an earlier build of the game. This is very likely to be a piece that was left from the Dinosaur Planet game. Actually, it even turns out that Dinosaur Planet and Starfox Adventures share a lot of story elements halfway through the game which are even used to some degree. However, the later parts of the game were heavily changed. At some point of the game in Dinosaur Planet, you were meant to control Crystal and go back in time, leaving Saber in the present, who was meant to collect the 5th spellstone. However, while Crystal was in the past, time kept flowing and she was physically absent. As she returns, she encounters a dying Krasoa. He tells her that Scales fulfilled his task of unleashing the power of the Chimerian heart. We can only guess that this is whatever Scales was longing for in order to destroy the planet. As the player is absent in the past, Saber tries to fight Scales in the present and dies. With Saber dead, the planet destroyed, the dinosaurs extinct, and the Krasoa dying, Crystal now has to find a spell page to open one last time rip, travel back to the past, and stop Scales from fulfilling his task. This would have been a dramatic plot twist. But obviously, this one was a little too dark for Nintendo and had to be redone. With Fox dying, this was definitely not an option. But without Fox dying, the climax of the entire story was lost. They had to rethink what the game had to come down to and eventually ended up scrapping time traveling altogether. Another thing that changed is the end of the game. Crystal asks Fox in a scrapped audio file whether he could bring her back to her ship. However, in the original intro, Crystal is riding a dinosaur. there was no ship she could have been brought back to. She then is approached by Fox whether she wants to join the team or not. Her answer is that she'd only do that if Fox kisses her. This is an important part, as this would have been a highlight for the player in Dinosaur Planet. After all the struggle with both protagonists and even Saber being dead at one point, they finally kiss each other in the end. This, however, got scrapped and replaced with a more indirect ending. There's also another theory. One of the scrapped files is hinting towards a second ending, as Crystal is yelling, "Get me out of here," followed by Crystal getting hurt. The only possibility is that she was shouting at Fox. While it actually makes sense that a second ending could have been planned with Crystal being hurt or even dying, it could also be that Rare tried to bring back a dramatic moment one last time before even scrapping that attempt and giving the game a memorable plot twist.
Dinosaur Planet was meant to be the game on the N64 that would push Ocarina of Time off its throne, but it ended up scrapped with a lot of features unused according to Rare. An open world platformer with a great story and an amazing plot twist for its time. But it never ended up happening, possibly due to the game not feeling as good as they intended. Maybe because of the gameplay not being fun enough for them, or the hardware not providing the power they needed. It is possibly one of the saddest cancelled games ever. And while Starfox Adventures shares a lot of similarities with the original concept, the big plot twist that the game was meant to offer got lost entirely. Such a shame. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch more videos, click the annotations on the screen right now. And hey, I heard that subscribe button down below and that like button have certain magical aspects, so you might want to try that out. You might get some cool ability.